Anyway, I'm trying to do my interview, and the girls want to talk. Okay, everybody, so this is what's going down. I've had a full day with Allan. He picked me up at 9. I got back about 4, so not overly a long day. He concentrated on, as you're going to see, some skirmishes, not huge battles, but events that occurred in the Magaliesberg, and there's 1,000 other events that, you know, we couldn't cover, but these are just a few of them. So this is for the nitty-gritty Boer War fans, although those that enjoy scenery will probably enjoy it as well. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, whether I'm going to, I might put them in an individual stream of Boer War battlefield streams, something like that. But they'll all be coming out in parts. I'll keep them to about 20-25 minutes each episode, and won't talk anymore. So watch what you can. If you're enjoying them, there'll be more to come. If they're not your thing, we'll skip over them, and there'll be days in between where I do other things, like tomorrow we're going to Brakpan. So alright, I hope you enjoy them. I had a great day, I really did. So I've just got in the car with Allan, and he's just telling us what's on our itinerary for today. Sorry, Allan, can you start again?
Yeah, so today what we're going to do is we're going to view 7 battlefields during the guerrilla phase of the war. We're going to visit one cemetery which is unspoilt, it hasn't been vandalized, and we're going to be viewing 3 places of interest which are pertinent to the Boer War.
Right. So, you know, you were mentioning the other day that the guerrilla phase of the war isn't that well known, and I think when people think of wars, for instance, like Isildwana or all those, you know, there's the aspect of a large number of men lined up against another large number of men. They're wearing uniforms. There's the charge and the retreat and the defence and all that. But in the guerrilla war, we're talking small amounts of men, are we?
Not really. Look, there were small skirmishes, but there were some big battles. So we're going to be viewing and discussing the Battle of Neugedacht, which was a fairly large battle. In fact, it was one of the largest in this area that we're visiting today. Probably 2,000 Boers against 1,500 British troops.
And was it Smuts at Neugedacht?
So the guy who organised it all was Delaray, but Smuts was there. So we're going to be discussing Smuts.
And is this the battle where either Smuts or Delaray said you couldn't have chosen a better place to be ambushed or to be attacked or something?
That's exactly right, yeah. Clements got into a lot of trouble for choosing that campsite.
Oh, brilliant. And the Boers could have pressed home the victory, but they were just exhausted and they wanted to grab the supplies. Is that something?
Okay, so one needs to understand that the British had lines of supplies. They had convoys that were coming with supplies, what they needed in ammunition, food, clothing, medical supplies. The Boers didn't have that at all. So the guerrilla phase of the war was really just the Boers surviving. They were attacking camps and they were attacking convoys to get supplies, because that was their only source of material. You know, towards the end of the war, they were fighting with British guns and British ammunition because they couldn't get ammunition for their Mausers.
A topic of, I don't know how to say it, were they wearing British khaki?
Yes, they were. Not everybody, but we're going to be going to Battle of Buffelspoort, which was really an attack on a convoy, and a lot of the soldiers, the British soldiers who were captured, had their boots taken because the Boers needed footwear. When they didn't have uniforms, certainly they captured uniforms from the British.
Sure. Okay. So that's first stop, is it? Neugedacht?
No. The first stop is Kalkheuwel, So the story about Kalkheuwel is that when Roberts invaded Johannesburg and got the Boers to surrender, the Boers negotiated what they called a false truce, and it was a 24-hour truce that Roberts and Commandant Krause, who was in charge of Johannesburg at the time, negotiated. Roberts was scared that the Boers were going to blow up the gold mines. The Boers needed time to get their people, money, guns, whatever they wanted to, out of Johannesburg. So there was 24 hours where the British just camped outside Johannesburg, and we're going to be going now to where a Boer convoy was leaving Johannesburg and was intercepted by the left flank of Roberts's force under General French. So that was an ambush, and that's the Australian horse were involved there. It was just a skirmish. There were only 7 casualties on the British side. One never knows how many casualties there were on the Boer side, because the Boers really just carried their dead away and buried them on the nearest farm, or took them back to where they stayed and buried them there.
Sure.
So the only place that, or the archives, are in Bloemfontein, where they're trying to put all the pieces together of the Boer casualties, and nothing has really been published at the moment.
We have a report by Lieutenant P.W. Vaughan of the 1st Australian Horse, and he describes what he saw on that Sunday on the 3rd of June. Quote, "We were marching through a nest of koppies when we fell into a beautiful trap. The koppies were simply alive with Boers, and they lay down and let our advance guard and scouts pass without making a move. But directly the brigade got well onto them. They opened on us with rifle fire at short range. It caused a bit of a commotion at first, but the officers soon had the men well in hand, and we got to work in quick time. There were a lot of men killed and wounded, also a great many horses, but it was good to hear our guns and rifles had got to work in such a quick time. We soon made it too hot for them, and they retired."
He's heading over in that direction. So those mountains over there. The other side of those mountains is Hartbeespoort Dam. So Pretoria is over there, Rustenburg is over there, and they're heading to what we would call is flat country. So they would get over the Magaliesberg, and then they would be in good farming country. So we're following a convoy now. What happened is that Roberts, when he had taken over Johannesburg, or he'd got them to surrender, he had a direct approach on Pretoria. He had a right flanking movement and he had a left flanking movement. We're going to be following the left flanking movement, and that was under General French. And Roberts thought that Kruger, who was in Pretoria at that time, might travel to Rustenburg. So you've seen his house at Kedar Lodge.
Yeah.
That's where he had a number of farms, and it was really, they felt that Kruger might go there to get the support that he wanted. When French got to where we're going to be going now, at Kalkheuwel, he got the message that Kruger had decided to go up into the Eastern Transvaal. He wasn't going to his farm. So French then started his left flanking movement, and on Tuesday when we go out to Diamond Hill, you'll see exactly where he ended up. So we're heading towards Kalkheuwel, which is just about 10 miles down the road, and we'll get to the battle there. Okay, we've got the convoy that's coming from Johannesburg, 22 wagons with all the farmers. They've got all their whatever they wanted to take out of Johannesburg. As what happened is that the Boers, when there was a convoy, there were always Boers who were going to protect the convoy. And there were 2 commandos, one on top of that hill, Kalkheuwel, and the other one on top of Lime Hill. All right, and the Brits now were coming through here, French, He had the Australian Horse with him. He had the Coldstream Guards. And at about 4 o'clock, the scouts said that there were Boers who were trying to get their wagons through this pass. And French decided that he would attack that convoy 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Bearing in mind that we're now talking about the 3rd of June, so the sun would have gone down at about 5:30. So he had probably an hour and a half in which to attack that convoy.
The wagons are pulled by oxen, right?
Wagons are pulled by oxen, that's
very
right.
Slow.
Yeah, very slow. So what happened is that he sent his troops down. Once he had got word from the scouts that they were there, he had sent them down, and we'll discuss the battle when we get down there. I just wanted to paint the scene so that you could see it.
They're copies, folks, although they look like they've got foliage on them. I'm used to a copy which is all rocks and rubble.
Yes, there certainly wasn't this amount of greenery on these. They were pretty bare at the time of the Boer War.
This is a country of copies.
But if you have a look at the rocks here, you see these rocks.
Oh yeah. I love those jackar. You can see as we're going down under a bit, but you can just see the top. What's that one called, Alan? That
That's
copy?
Kalkheuwel.
Kalkheuwel.
Yeah.
That's a copy. Kalkheuwel. What does that mean?
Kalkheuwel, kalk is chalk, and heuwel is like a mountain.
Chalk mountain. I mean, they would have hauled their guns up there, would they?
No, rifle fire there. So
Okay.
They wouldn't have had any cannons with him here. It would just been a commando with rifles.
Right, I
That's
suppose.
Kalkheuwel there. We'll get a better picture of it when we stop here.
Yeah.
There's Lime Hill over there.
So this is our first stop for the day, which is actually the road I came home on yesterday. That ridge there, Alan says the Boers were on top of that ridge with their Mausers firing down into this valley. Quite a good line of fire, although, yeah. This is actually the lion park behind me, with that thatched hut. There's lions in those valleys. And that other hill over there. Oh, he's got the map out. Check this out, guys. He's organised.
So feel free to photostat that if you want to.
Yeah.
But okay, so we've got it over here. Let's have a look at it then. So that's it. That's Lime Hill over there.
Lime Hill, yeah. Yeah, folks. Oh, you're organised. Brilliant. Yeah. Kalkheuwel.
Okay, so Kalkheuwel over there. This is the route that the Boers took. Here you've got the New South Wales Lancers, the Royal Scots, the Dragoons, Inniskilling, following them through here. When they got to about here, we're going to be going over a little stream just now, and that's half of the wagons that got across that stream. The other half were trying to get through. These guys came along, okay? Here the Boers started firing on them, and they did a U-turn. The Scots Greys were sent up to that hill to try and capture the Boers there, but by that time it was nightfall. They knew that they couldn't get any further. The biggest casualties here, and I think I've written this here, but it's certainly in yours, were the horses. So although there are only 5 casualties on the British side here, there were 50 horses that had to be put down. They got caught up here.
Wow.
Okay, and the 2 commandos that we're talking about, Groot Mariko Commando were up here, and the Wolmaranstad Commando were there. They were...
and they're districts. Wolmaranstad is a district, is
yes,
it?
That's right, yeah.
Right.
And Groot Mariko, you would have gone through Groot Mariko on your way to Rustenburg. That's
right.
In the area of Swartwagens. There's a town called Groot Mariko.
Ah, right, okay. Wow.
2 guns here which weren't. They tried to fire on the hill, but were totally ineffective. They battled to get those guns through on that rocky road.
So the Boers abandoned their wagons, or?
They abandoned 11 of them. Half of them they got through, and the British captured them and just burnt them.
Right. Okay.
Now, one of the interesting facts about this, and it's in your write-up, is that there was a chap called Oates, Lieutenant Oates, who was part of the Scott expedition to the Antarctic, and he was at this battle. He eventually got wounded down in the Eastern Cape in a skirmish with Jan Smuts. He was asked to surrender. He said, "I haven't come out to South Africa to surrender, I've come out to fight." He got injured, and his one leg was an inch shorter than the other leg after that operation. And they reckon that it was because of that injury. I don't know if you remember Oates, who walked out of the tent and said to everybody,
"Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm going out for a moment."
Going out for a moment and never. And they reckon that it was that injury that was slowing that whole expedition down.
Wow.
So
Wow.
he was here. Where we're going now, there's a cross on the side of the hill, which 99% of the people who travel this road think it's a religious cross. It's got nothing to do with religion at all. It's a cross which is called Schoeman's Cross. Commandant Schoeman was involved in the First Boer War. He was a bit of a hero because he was commanding the forces that besieged Pretoria, which was one of the garrisons in the First Boer War. He then, during the Second World War, which we're talking about now, was sent down to the Eastern Cape. He was at the Battle of Stormberg. He was at the Battle of Noupoort. But because he didn't believe in fighting, he believed in besieging garrisons and getting them all into an enclosed, or getting all the enemy into an enclosed area and trying to starve them out. He was then relieved of duties and sent to Bloemfontein in an admin post. What then happened is that he decided that he had had enough of this admin post, so he came back to his farm, which was here at Hardebeespoort, where we're going to be going now. When, after the Battle of Kalkheuwel, French came through here and stopped at his farm, and he said that he had laid down arms. He certainly wasn't going to be fighting against the British. There were no forms signing the allegiance to the crown or anything like that in those days. French just took it on face value that he wasn't going to be fighting. What then happened is that at the Second Battle of Silkhardtsnek, which we're going to be describing now, the Boers asked for his help, and he said he wasn't fighting anymore. So he then got arrested for treason. He got taken to Pretoria. His case was thrown out. They said there was no grounds for arresting him or for even executing him for treason, so he was sent back to his farm. Another commander, a guy called Beyers, Commandant Beyers, said, no, we're not having this. We can't have these senior guys who are just laying down arms. So he rearrested him and tried him again for treason. What then happened is he got released again, and he then approached Roberts, and he said to Roberts, look, I'm prepared to go and convince the Boers that they should all lay down their arms. We're fighting a losing battle. He then got a letter from Roberts, or from the British, saying that he was on their side, that he had laid down arms, and the first Boers that he came across had him rearrested. So he got rearrested again for treason, and he got sent up to Petersburg, and he was put in jail there awaiting trial, and the Brits relieved Petersburg in April 1901. He then came back down to his farm. His farm then had been burnt because the British thought that he had now taken up arms again, so they burnt his farm. by that stage, his family had moved to Pretoria. They had a house in Pretoria. He then went to go and stay with his family, obviously in Pretoria. He used to smoke a pipe, and what he had as an ashtray was an old shell that he had got from the Battle of Stormberg, and he used that as an ashtray. Lighting his pipe, he flicked his ash out in the ashtray, and it exploded, and that was the end of Schoeman and Schoeman's niece.
Wow.
Now they don't know whether the dynamite was put in there to kill him off, to silence him. They don't know whether it was just latent dynamite or what, but that's the story about the cross.
Smoking kills, folks.
Smoking kills, there we go. So the cross on the side of the hill, Schoeman's cross, is to this Commandant Schoeman, who laid down arms, was tried 3 times for treason, and eventually got blown up.
Well, he was getting harassed by both sides, wasn't he? Wow. Schoeman. Oh, we're back in Gauteng again.
Only for in front of the dam, this closest hill. Can you see it across?
No, sorry.
Just there.
Well, what am I looking at? Oh, yeah, I see it now. Yeah. It's just a brown wooden cross.
Yes. So we'll go a little bit further down. You'll get a better picture.
This is the
wanted you to see.
Hartbeespoort Dam, nestled up against the Magaliesberg. It's absolutely gorgeous.